Hello. It's now day 4 of the Cinder VT Nuremberg trials, and already the secondary news sources have moved on to juicier dramas, believing that the corpse of her career has been thoroughly picked clean. Being the only apparent voice willing to stand up for my personal hero and queen, Cinder VT, against the mob, I feel it behooves me to make a second video pointing out how ridiculous the internet is being about this matter. After all, somebody has to counterbalance the top 30 Google searches declaring that her career is over and she's a psychopathic abusive liar, and that her personal life is in shambles after being exposed as a manipulative, sadistic cheater. Joseph Merrick is a 19th century freak show attraction who was made famous for his unique appearance caused by an incurable genetic illness. Living only to the age of 38, Joseph's bones eventually killed him as his neck twisted and snapped one night, asphyxiating him. His life was dramatized in the 1975 David Lynch movie Elephant Man. The film explores philosophical themes of dualism, that Joseph is a pure and unblemished spirit confined to a flesh prison, that his circumstances leads him to a fate predetermined at birth to be one of misery and loneliness, while his soul shines brightly within. That is to say, are we naught but spirits guiding mech suits made of flesh on a world where we are just a temporary guest? At the emotional climax of the movie, Joseph is hunted through the London Tube by schoolchildren, eventually attracting a curious rabble of people through a series of unfortunate events, only to be cornered in a dirty bathroom. In a last bid for mercy, he desperately cries,
I am not an elephant! I am not an animal! I am a human being!
In what is probably the least realistic part of the film, this somehow works and he is shortly rescued by the police. Given what I know of internet mobs, a much more likely outcome from this point would be Joseph's immediate and violent demise, while onlookers laugh and clap with glee, making money from selling merch about their endeavors. Now, I'm not saying the Cinder VT is the most innocent and kind little guy in the world like Elephant Man. That would be ridiculous. Even Cinder has already admitted fault in her actions. Unlike the Elephant Man, Cinder took specific actions which upset people. She and her manager tried to hire an artist exclusively without a real contract, and beyond that, her manager was caught smack-talking her friends. Where I'm drawing the comparison to Elephant Man is in the line, "I am a human being." Indeed, Cinder too is a human being. While Lynch put these words in Joseph's mouth to say that all human life is precious no matter the appearance, this scene affects me differently. Human nature is not inherently good, nor is it inherently evil. It is just human nature. I, for one, am not a dualist. I do not believe that our consciousness is separated from our bodies. A simple evidence for this would be sexual preference. If dualism were true, all people would be bisexual because the soul is inherently genderless. Thus, our bodies, natures, and experiences as an animal affect our reasoning and decision-making. Thus, when I find out that a famous woman felt insecure and was talking badly about her friends, I look at the totality of the situation and understand it in the context of, well, this is how I expect people to act. Not as a question of righteousness, but as a question of human imperfection. When we idolize a person and uplift them to the level of a star, they transfigure themselves into an amazingly talented and wonderful person to aspire to. In some sense, they become what we want to be. In order to do this transfiguration and fulfill our fantasies, what we do is we strip that individual of their humanity. We take away their troubles, dramas, and insecurities, because if we were like that, we would not be insecure or troubled within ourselves. So when the Elephant Man says, "I'm not an animal, I'm a human being," he is bucking the misconception that a person who looks monstrous is inherently monstrous. As applies to Cinder, I'm saying that a person who looks perfect is just as based and flawed as the rest of us. The core concern around Cinder is an employment dispute between Cinder and Nanolis, and how that dispute was handled. There's nothing inherently underhanded or illegal about wanting to employ someone full-time, but neither Cinder nor Redacted know enough about business to use the language of employment contracts to convey themselves. So the whole thing comes off as catty and backstabbing, especially when they try to sell the idea of full-time employment to Nanolis. The reason one would hire a staff artist, by the way, is because you have enough work for them to do for a few years, and you don't want them working on other projects because it messes with your deadlines. It has nothing to do with weird concepts of an artist's exclusive value or whatever Redacted was trying to say. That is to say, Redacted, who is a mid-20s guy living somewhere in the world, may well be a dumbass, but it's not illegal to be a dumbass. But however, it turns out that dating a dumbass is enough to get the entire internet angry at you, with Cinder's apology reaching 25 million people, most of them mocking her and rejecting her apology. And now we come to what's actually grinding my gears. Given the facts at hand, the only people who really have a claim to damage from this situation are Nanolus, who published the doc, and a handful of content creators that Redacted was smack-talking in the DMs as he was describing Cinder's various insecurities. So given that, who the hell are all these people? Keep in mind, I am firmly rejecting that Cinder ought to be cancelled over DMs from 2023, so I'm completely ignoring the entire part of the doc that's about anything from 2023. If that was actually bad enough, and it wasn't because Nanolus continued working with Cinder after this, but if it was bad enough, then she should have been cancelled in 2023. These people are drama frogs, hopping from one issue to the next, trying to start fights and get the sickest dunk possible on the latest internet villain. The game's called engagement, and these people have no principles. There's no human empathy here, no nuance, not even any care for the particulars of the beef. All they're trying to do is get to the top of the pile and do as much damage as possible. All of them dream of getting a response from Cinder, so they'll use rage, despair, and mockery to get that response. Cinder's career is over? Well, good drama. Cinder breaks up with her boyfriend? Ah, awesome drama. Cinder apologizes and gives to charity? Not good enough. It's internet blood sports, and everyone's a loser, baby. The thing that makes me sad is that the people who can't see that these are just drama frog idiots get emotionally upset and invested in this nothing burger, and the narrative starts spinning out of control. Cinder's a psychopath. Cinder cheats on her boyfriend. Cinder makes Shy Lily cry. It's ridiculous. And more importantly, it removes a talented singer and entertainer from the entertainment pool. What's even the point of an apology if your guilt is predetermined and people are just rage farming you? I mean, at this point, don't even apologize. Just stream and meme and let the Twitter idiots seethe about their impotent engagement numbers as you dunk on them with your latest single. The cancellation is a thing of your mind. Cinder is a human being, as well as an entertainer. When we live in a society that attacks artists and entertainers for being flawed human beings, we get what we deserve. Whether we're attacking the Elephant Man for having weird bones, or Cinder for being insecure and bad at business, or even Vincent van Gogh for being poor. Moreover, the creation of tabloid-level entertainment slop about Brad and Angelina's latest ass crack has always annoyed me and will continue to do so. Until next time, I'm Karnak VT, I'm a cat on the internet, and at least make sure you get cancelled over a juicy sex scandal next time. At least that way you get laid, Jesus.